Hello, everyone. We are live right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd like to know where you're connecting from, your name, so that we can recognize you and, just say a word of pleasantries to you. And today is another Monday evening, and we have a guest with us presently. And before I bring her up stage, I like to just go and just say what this program is all about, so that for those who are joining us for the first time would have a clarity what we do here every Monday evening. Congratulations on your journey to making a difference with me. I'm so excited you're getting on this journey with me. We can become that change agent we're all called to be. And on this show, Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh, we train, we teach, we mentor, we coach people on how they can become better versions of themselves in the areas of finances, business wise, career wise, leadership skills, and relationship. We learn from other people's stories and life experience so that we can leverage on their experience and expertise, in getting to a destined point where God has destined each and every one of us to be. And today we have a guest with us who we want to glean from, we want to hear from her. And we know a wealth of experience. She's been in the industry for so many years, and we'll be glad to have her so we can glean from her and learn from her. And that's why we're bringing her up today. Awesome. You're welcome to hear from you. And before I actually bring you up, I've not read your bio. Let me just quickly read a short bio of who our guest is, so that even before she comes, we already know her at least. TEENA is a certified human resource consultant, a leadership coach, speaker, and trainer with the Maxwell Leadership. She's a faculty member and a mentor with the Maxwell Leadership Youth Certification. TEENA sits on the President Advisory Committee of the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Member as the committee chair. She is a positive intelligence coach and is certified as a Maxwell Method of DISC personality and behavioral analysis consultant, a compassionate and a result-driven professional with over 25 years experience in banking and human capital development. Awesome. TEENA has proven records of success in leading teams in customer service, sales, marketing, and people development, training, mentoring, coaching organizations to increase their influence and business income. TEENA is vast in coaching executives and mid-levels manager to attain mastery in self-leadership and people development. She's also success and growth mindset coach for introverted female entrepreneurs. Sometimes we have people who do not talk who are females, and you want to really bring out the best in them. Awesome. That's a great job you're doing there. TEENA has a master's degree in international human resource management from Kingston University, London, and a postgraduate certificate in women entrepreneurship from Cornell University, United States of America. She's a member of several professional bodies, including the Chartered Institute of Personal and Development, United Kingdom, CIPD, Center for Organizational Leader and Development Network, COLD, International Association of Facilitators, as well as Learning and Development Network International, LDNI. TEENA enjoys traveling, music, reading, and spending quality time with family. I'm so excited to have her today. Awesome. So great to have you, madam. Yeah. It's awesome.
Wow. So great to be here.
I'm excited. We like to hear from you. We like to know you. There are probably things I didn't mention in your bio that you might want to tell our audience, and where you're making a difference presently. We like to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you. I must say, first of all, it's a great thing what you're doing. People reach out to people out there. So kudos to you. Congratulations on what you're doing. Like you said, my name is
Thank you.
Sandra Ukoh. I first off, I'll just like to say that I have a passion for helping youth and helping people. That's born out of what I've come to learn from, I would say, my dad growing up. So he continues to be my number one inspiration. He's no more here, but I know that his spirit still leads me and guides me and urges me on in what I'm doing. So my inspiration from God comes from people who inspire people. They inspire me to want to be better, and so that's my number one drive in wanting to help people get better. It's just, what do I have that I can share with other people to help them become better? So that's me every day when I wake up.
Awesome. And really, what do we have that was not first given to us? There's really nothing we came with. It was given to us from God. So it's a great thing to share. And it's that sharing is living. You know, when you give to others, when you share what you have, it's like you're making the environment and making life more bearable for others. So it's so great to have you, madam. And I like to just find out from you, what informed you to, want to going further in life, to gaining more skills?
Awesome. I think education for me is something. Growing up, I grew up in a home where education is very important. My dad was first a teacher. He moved on to join the public service. My mom was a teacher, all her profession, working profession. So you can say I come from a home of teachers, and what is about teaching people. But really, education is so important to me because again, I tell a short story. It's a story of my dad. He was born in Lagos, Nigeria. Growing up, at the time he was to go to school, he was deprived going to school because the father lost the job and they had to go back to the village in Delta State where I come from. And so, but he loved reading, he loved education, and his everything she could to see that he could advance in life. He took up many jobs, he did a lot of things. He passed his exams, but couldn't further his education at some point. There were no funds coming. But he didn't give up. He kept trying. I remember him telling us, I mean, he had to do then it was London G6, that they will have to do for them to go into college. And he did it 3 times. He did it 3 times, not because he failed. He did it 3 times because the first two that he passed excellently, didn't have money to pay the first tuition, which was like the registration to get into it. And so he lost that because there was a limited time. And so when he did that, because he was already teaching, he had saved up some money. He was able to reach out to an uncle of his and his elder sister who borrowed him what he registration and his first term school fees. And because he was so determined and brilliant, he got a scholarship to read
Awesome, awesome.
all on the graduate days, and he was able to actually repay back that which he had borrowed. And he did not stop there. He went on to get 2 other postgraduates, one from the UK, one from the US, all on scholarship. And so for him, education was so important that growing up, he would tell us that education is the only legacy you have. And he will say, don't look at the riches I have. Don't look at the houses. Don't look at the cars. Don't look at anything because I don't have anything. The only thing I can give to you, bestow on you, is education. Take advantage. And so growing up, education was so important for me in my home. And for the people who lived around me, you call them friends or really grew up in our home, you must go to school. It was so important. If you didn't want to go to school, then you didn't have a place. Being around my father, that was how I was growing up. But really, when I finished secondary school, I went to school quite early. Like I said, my mom was a teacher at the time, and I was going to with her, and because of academic excellence as well, I apparently skipped some classes. So I found myself leaving what we'll call secondary school, what you call high school in the United States, 16. And so going into the university or college was the next step for me. And I would say I was naive at the time. I did what my parents wanted, what they wanted. They wanted me to read medicine. I couldn't get in to read medicine. So I went in for the next thing that was available for me, chemistry. And so even when my parents wanted me, yeah, when they wanted me to repeat the qualifying exams, which we called JAMB at the time, I said, no, I didn't want to stay at home. I'll go in for whatever course they were giving. So I went in for chemistry. So education has always been a great component for me in my life.
Awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. And because, and even with it is said that self development is the greatest asset you can give to yourself. It is an intellectual property that no one can take from you. You can build all the houses you want to build, amass all the wealth you want to you get. You can lose them in one day, but whatever you put in yourself will live in you even after you're gone. You could write books, you could do so many things. So self-development, getting yourself skilled, being in the forefront where you have to learn, it's so important for everyone, very important and very critical. Like TEENA just rightly said, the father had to go through a lot to make sure he went to school, and I expect that from everyone who is probably finding it one way or the other difficult to go to school. Find out how you can be in school, plug into system that can support you. There are always non-for-profit churches and diverse religious groups that are ready to sponsor people who are willing and ready to learn. Just get a system, plug in, because there's a saying that says what makes you is basically on three things: the environment you grow up, the books you read, and the people you hang around. Who are the people talking into your life? Who are the people talking into your life? Are they talking things that are lifting you up, or things that brings you down all the time? Are you in an environment where you cannot learn, and that every time you're in that environment you're choked up and you're being downgraded? Maybe it's an abusive environment, and of course, if you're not careful, you will grow with that notion. So it is important you get plugged in into a group, a system, a positive system that would help you move in the direction of your call or your career, so that you don't lose out, or you don't get confused along the journey to life. Like she rightly said, school education is key for everyone. Very important you go to school. Very important, because you network as much as you build your intellectual capacity. I also want to find out from you. That's the same thing that happened to me. My father wanted me to read medicine. I wanted to become a civil engineer. I feel a civil engineer in the form. My father said, wow, that's a guy's job. Go TPEX it and put medicine. Okay. Those days, whatever your dad says is fine now. We're very young then. And so we just accept whatever they say. So I went immediately. I was glad I had not submitted the form. I quickly TPEX it and put medicine. The first year, I didn't get in because I didn't have the cutoff mark for medicine. And my father said, you have to wait and redo it again. I waited. The first time they gave me biochemistry. Second time they gave me biochemistry. I told him this time around, I'm entering. I will do biochemistry. I was glad I never even read medicine, because I was asking myself, I don't like drugs. I don't like the scene of people being in the hospital. I'm not that careful in giving. I'm very restless. So giving injection, you don't want me to go and give injection in the wrong place, I said, well, I was glad I never read it. So I was like, but it is said that things work together for your good. And basically, I probably would take me. That's what happened. And I ended up, doing biochemistry. I was glad that I never read medicine. I never did. And I also want to find out from you, how did you manage with your chemistry to what you're doing right now?
It's been a journey, but a wonderful journey. There's been curveballs. It's been a great journey. So I read chemistry quite all right. after graduating, it's interesting because apart from at the time I did a compulsory 1 year national youth service, I've not done anything that's related to chemistry. I did my youth service in an oil service company in Port Harcourt, working in the laboratory. So yes, that was good. But outside of that, I have never done anything that's related to chemistry in any form at all. So after graduating, I went on to find myself in a banking environment. At the time, banking that was a high paying job in Nigeria. And so everybody was going to banking. They were looking for people who were skilled with good grades and all of that. And, I moved from Port Harcourt, applied at the time to the bank. At the time, I think Crystal Bank had just been bought over to become Standard Trust Bank. So I was one of the first people who started off with Standard Trust Bank at the time. And so that's how I started my work career in a bank, where I spent 14 years. Now I look at it and I'm like, wow, I spent 14
That's a
years in a
long
bank.
time.
Yeah. But really, I spent 4 years working in branches in the bank through operations, credit, and marketing. Left the bank as a branch manager. Now, at the time I was at the bank, I felt that I had a flair for working with people. I could mentor people, I could coach people, I could counsel people. And so I actually approached the deputy managing director of the bank at the time that I would love to move from being a manager at the time to human resources, because I really wanted to develop that aspect of me that was calling me to like counsel people, coach people, mentor people. And he was like, no, you're doing so well here. You're killing it in marketing, getting all this. Why do you want to go behind? But that was where I was. I was sharing this story with someone earlier, incidentally, a coaching call I was on. I was sharing it with a lady on the call that, you know what, sometimes God propels us, others are steps, and we don't even understand. I shared with her that for 5 months up until the time I left the bank, there was this burden on me that I wasn't fulfilling what I had been called, that to the extent that I don't know, but I share this everywhere I get to share my story, that I felt guilty that I was earning salary and I wasn't working for it, because I felt I wasn't putting in my best. I felt I wasn't doing what I should be doing, but I was earning salary. And it was a like a nudge, just doing a disservice to myself and to the organization. And so for 5 months, I carried that burden. And God will, I always hear, you need to leave, you need to leave. And I'll say, I leave, what do I go to? How will I feed? How will I pay my bills? If you know, banking at the time in Nigeria was one of the highest paying jobs. So I was like, how do I go from that point
You
down
said
to
the truth,
not
because even when I
having?
was doing marketing in an IT industry, I was bitter because my friends were collecting 4 times what I was being paid. So I dare sometimes not want to tell anybody I'm working in an IT industry, because I was longing to be in the bank, but I never got into the bank. So it's a true story.
Yeah. So after the time, fifth month when I session with the DMD, and he tried to delay it, but you know what? I just called him one night. I sent him a message and he called me back. Okay, let's schedule a meeting with the MD the following day. I met to that point, I knew it was time to leave. I knew I needed to pursue what I had been called to do. And I call myself one of the privileged few who get that prompting, because many of my friends who had to leave the bank, they were either booted out or they didn't know what to do at the time they were leaving and all of that. But I left knowing that to go into human resources. And so I knew that I didn't have any formal background of human resources. Yes, I had a flair, I had a passion for, coaching people, mentoring people, counseling people, but I also wanted to back it up with something that is a certification. And so I found myself to school this time in the United Kingdom. to do a master's in international human resources management.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. So I did that, and after that, that was when, after a few years, I joined the John Maxwell team, which is now called the Maxwell Leadership. And I've gone on since then to do different certifications, just discovering myself, doing things.
It's a never-ending journey. Discovering yourself is never ending. As long as you're living, as long as you have breath in your nostrils, it's a never-ending journey. You keep discovering yourself. And then, you know what? The story that really resonated with me is the Kentucky Fried Chicken. He discovered himself even when he was 60 something. I spoke with an uncle today who told me, oh, what would I be going to do in Europe or North America? There's really nothing for me. And he's just about 60. And then, like I told him, I said, that's not an excuse. I've had people who by 60 they discover themselves, 65, and they lived for another 30 years of their life. I said, what do you say about such people? 30 years is a lot of time to make an impact and make a change. So tell me, we shouldn't be limited, or we shouldn't limit ourselves by the things we call tradition or religion, because we come up with like, oh, at 60 I should be retired. Who told you should retire? Retire means you are getting ready to die. Why don't you get, retire to refire? That means you're retiring from maybe paid employment to start running your business. Then, retiring to sitting at home. Of course, your cells will begin to die. Your thinking capacity, the things you do, everything will begin to degenerate because you're not putting them into action or active use. So it's awesome what you just shared now, finding and discovering yourself. And I have a book that's about publishing, talking about finding yourself. A lot of our teenagers have the issues, complications, because they're just coming from preteens, they're becoming teens, they're trying to discover themselves, their voices, and everything structural is changing. And at this period of time, we need to be around them to help them understand what they're going through, because you now find the guys having husky voice, the girls being shapy, and they get into a phase where it becomes identity crisis. They want to become like a particular actor or a soap opera or something. They want to do things. I have that challenge in my house, and gradually my son is getting out of it. My son loved Messi, everything about Messi. In school, the teacher, everybody, tell him to write about someone, Messi. The picture on his book, Messi. His DP, Messi. You want to buy him a t-shirt, Messi. Everything, he wants to play soccer like Messi. I had to call him one day. I said, why don't you tell God you want to be better than Messi? I said, like me, my mentor, my big mentor is Papa Maxwell. I want to be greater than him. I said, you have to see it for you to become it. I said, whatever you want to become in life, you've got to see it first. And then tell God, this is the level I want to operate. I want to even do much more. So I have to start telling him, I have to start explaining and, tutoring him that you cannot be exactly like a person. God has created, no one has been created the same. So for you to say you want to become like someone, you can say, I like the person's skill. I want to know more. I want to get to know the person more. That's it. That's understandable. But not becoming like the person, because sometimes when you get to hear the stories of what people have been through in life, that's when you get to understand that you don't want to be like them, because you don't want to go through the same journey they went through. You understand? Everybody has a path. Everybody has got a journey and has got a path to go through in life. I will be taking a break for 1-2 minutes for our guest to come back in. I think she has a network issue. Awesome. Welcome back. We just had a
Awesome.
short break. I understood. Sometimes you cannot work beyond technology. Everything was working fine, and I noticed something went wrong. So I kept on talking, but I just said, let's take a break for you to come back. We're glad to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and this time around, I just want to go into relationship. Have you been able to manage being you love, developing people? You've had a lot of certifications, a lot of reading just to get yourself skilled. I appreciate that, and I think our audience too are learning from you. You want to be ready because sometimes it is said opportunity comes but once. You want to be ready with the skill, right set of skill, so when opportunity comes, you can leverage on it. And that's what our guest today has said. Our story has been focused on getting ready, getting prepared, getting all you can get now that you can get them. I want to understand, how did you manage a relationship even at school, workplace? You're in school, you're also working, and you have family members. How did you manage all these three?
Wow. So
Wow.
I
So I
tell you that
tell you that
there's but
but
one of the
one of
me, and it's still helping me, is just understanding who you are, understanding how to prioritize, and then also just knowing when to be present. We will not always get it right, that is for sure. We'll make mistakes, but as we make mistakes and we learn along the road, we just build it in. I'll give you an example. Sometime last month, um okay, so I come from a family of 8 children. That's really a large family. And so we are a close knit family. So my siblings and I are very we're close, even though I mean we're all grown up, people are married and all of that. And so last month, my brother's wife, who was pregnant, she's delivered now, was going to have a set of twins, and they discovered it was a set of twins, and they knew that wow, she would not be able to handle all of this and all that, and we were like, oh, who's going to help? Be of some assistance, be ready to help, be ready to do this and all of that. I was like, okay, I am flexible. My work that I do is flexible, and I can give some time because I can operate from wherever I am doing a lot of things, virtually and all of that. And I was able to render help, to just be present there, to be of assistance where it was needed. That was important to me because that is family. So as you think about relationships, as you think about how you want to balance it, think about what is important to you. So is family important to you? Are friends important to you? The kind of friendship you have, what is important? What will you be willing to sacrifice to help the other person? Or what would they also be willing to sacrifice to help you? All of those things are things that we'll think about. Now, I can do that now with without a lot of regret as I am right now. But when we think about when we're young, when we think about the young ones that are coming up now and how do they manage all of these things, many times you find that young people, especially when they are in their teens, there's a lot of conflict that parents don't even understand children. What children want is different from what parents want for their children. And you and I will agree that, I mean, in our own days, growing up in our own generation, we couldn't talk back at our parents. We did what they wanted. We went where they said and did what they wanted. But now you find a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old telling the mom or the dad, Mom, I'm not going to do that. Why do you want me to do that? And so you find that there's a disconnect.
there is.
There's a when parents like you and I, who were brought up with that old hand, are trying to enforce those same kind of rules with the children of nowadays. So we have to find a balance between understanding their own time where they are, why not losing the essence of the good upbringing we really want to bring to them, because you need to be firm at times. That doesn't mean you're being wicked. It doesn't mean you're being mean. I mean, I tell the youth that I get to teach in the Maxwell leadership that you sometimes you think your parents don't understand you, they don't want to hear you, they don't want to listen to you, but you also have to give them grace that they are not your age, they are not your generation. And if you know that there's this saying that what an old person sees sitting down, the young one will not see it, even when they climb an iroko tree, right?
Yeah, even standing, they can't say it.
Told that story once, and they were all like, "Oh, Miss Tina, what do you mean by that?" I said, "Because wisdom, wisdom, yes, we can say that maturity does not really come with age, but there are times that you know what, you need to be wise, even as a young person. Be where that old person's heart, so that you can actually not get lost in the crowd." Because a lot of our young people get lost in the crowd. They are pushed down or easily carried away by peer pressure. My friends are doing this. I mean, my nieces who live in Atlanta, they're twins, and I hear them sometimes. They tell their parents, "Mom, my friends are doing this. My friends are doing this. My friends are doing," and my mom say, "Your friends can be doing what they like. You are my children.
Friend, you
You
are not your friend.
so
That's the same thing I tell them. I tell my kids too, and I tell every youth around me, stand out. And how do you stand out? By being different. Make a difference. Stand out. Let them learn from you. Let them know, learn that you're cultured. Let them know, learn from you that you don't talk back to your parents. You can dialogue. Come to an agreement. And there's a part in the Bible that says, bring your strong reasons. If you
yeah,
tell your parents, if you have a strong reason why you want to do a particular cause, there is no dad or mom that will not hear you talking sensibly, that will not say, oh, that's a good point, I support you. But when you come and say, I want to be a doctor because my friend is a doctor, you are not sane. Even twins are not alike, exactly alike. There's always a difference. So tell me. So a lot of times I just make them, I think as parents too, we also need to be patient. Because where we're coming from, our parents were hard on us. And in this generation, we have to understand that they're in a different generation. They have a lot of distractions. Unlike our own generation, I didn't never touch phone till I came out of college. And even a laptop till 2000. Most times you go and wait for the typewriter to do your thesis, your project and everything. It was maybe during NYC that we now, in Nigeria, we now had mobile phone. We were going to use payphone, the NITE payphone. You buy a card, load it, you go and make phone calls. There was not like mobile phone. But now, this age, even at 7, people have phones. So they get so tied to it. And I tell them, I say addiction is so bad. You'll be distracted from so many things. You'll be cut off relationship wise, because everything you do, and some parents too should also learn that because you don't want your kids to disturb you, you give them a gadget to go and play with. You're gradually losing them. You probably don't know what they are watching, what sites they are going to. Like I read something today, I said, it is not all books that you need to read, and not all resources you need to watch. Because the moment you watch them, they get into your soul and they keep haunting you and they come with some kind of anointing. You'll be drawn to wanting to do what you've seen, because you've seen. And it is said that what the eyes does not see, the mind does not think about it. Because the moment you see it, your mind will continue to calculate and picture it. And the devil is so trickish. He will come and elaborate it. You will begin to see it more often. In your dream, in your inner mind, you'll be imagining a lot of things. So for them, they have a lot of work to do, and we as parents have a lot of work to do. We need to be around them, and not even just our kids, the youth around us. It says it takes a community to train a child. So when we see other kids going astray, as adults and as leaders that we're called to be, there is a saying that says everything rises and falls with a leader, and a leader is a person who knows it and shows the way. That means you know what is good and you're showing others. So it doesn't have to be that you have a blood connection with a person or any relationship, because we're all called to be leaders. So even when we go outside there, we can make a difference in our world. Seeing people misbehaving, call them to order and call them politely. It is said that a soft answer turneth away wrath. So the way you talk to these youths and the people you see around you really matters too, because if I see a guy smoking or doing something wrong and I need to correct him, I want to be a friend. I want to connect first. Make friends with him. Like, make him feel good that, oh, I like your haircut, or I like what you're wearing. Just to be able to connect with him. Once I'm able to connect with him, he's able to listen to me. But if there's no connection and you want to try and talk, the first person the person say, are you my parents? What right do you have to talk to me? Because that's the age that we are. So you must make them your friend first, so that you can pass on what nuggets, what ideas, what good saying you want to say, whatever you want to say to them. That's how you win them. There's this part in the Bible that encourages me. It says Paul was everything to everyone in order to win them. So as parents, we need to be friends with our kids. Watch what they watch sometimes to be able to win them, so that you learn and see what they learn and say, oh, this is where they're going wrong. Oh, this is the program they have been watching. Oh, this is the reason why they have to stop doing this. Because most times I tell them, I said, you have 24 hours in the day. Ask yourself, how many hours do you sleep? How many hours do you use in school? Then how many hours do you give to your phone? So when you now look at it that you spend 12 hours on the phone, so what value have you added into yourself? So I just tell them, I don't want to monitor you. I don't want to micromanage you, but I want you to, assess yourself. If I'm going to give 6 hours to sleep, 6 hours to be, or 7 hours being in school, the other 6 hours I have left, I should share it equally to read other books, do my assignments, then check my phones, maybe, 1/10 of the time, rather than using 12 hours, 50% of your time to be on the phone. So I think with all this coaching, teaching, everybody, leaders are, rising up from every nook and cranny in the world. I think we'll be able to help the youths. We'll be able to help this generation if we do what we need to do. And I tell people, I say, model what you want people to do. It is not talking. Talking is cheap. Talking is cheap.
That is actually by listening to them. We need to listen more, be more attentive, be active listeners, because like my coach, my speaker coach would say, there are different levels of listening. But when we listen at a level where we're able to hear what people are not verbalizing, what they are not saying with their mouth, you're able to understand
The body languages.
what them to help them. And that's why you see that there are sometimes you're talking with someone, they've not said anything, but just because you were listening to them, once you say something, they say, hey, how did you know? That was what I was just, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm thinking. Because you are actively listening. So we need to listen, especially with our young people, with the youth. We need to listen to them. We need to be attentive. We need to make them our friends. Now, in this day and age of technology, everybody has a mobile phone. You talk about 7-year old owning phones. The truth is that even the babies, parents these days, a baby is born as soon as they can sit and listen to music and play music, we're giving them devices. So we are the ones who are even indoctrinating them. We are teaching them. And so by the time they get to age 2, 3, they can't do without a tablet. They can't do without a device. Because why? That's what they were brought up on. That's what they know. And so it becomes difficult to separate them from that device. Another thing I tell parents, that you need to create a time, like a no phone time, whether you call it a family time, whether you want to do it every evening at dinner, whether you want to do it once a week, but there should be a time where we all put our phones out, put our phones down, including the parents, and we want to have true, real conversations. Because you find two people in a home, even among spouses, and we're using our devices, maybe WhatsApp, some other chat medium, to converse. It's become the order of the day. So
Yeah,
with the
you just hit the nail on the head. That's what is happening. You get into the car, everybody is like this
yes,
because we're busy on our phones. There's no conversation and there is no meaningful connection, even in the house, even with siblings, because everybody is with gadgets. God will help us, but as parents and leaders, we need to change our order. We need to change the order. And I sometimes tell my kids, I say, watch me when I go through my phone. I must have achieved well. So when I go back, maybe in the night before going to bed, I just quickly want to catch up and respond to everyone. But I don't give so much of my time, such as I don't want to regret that I spent 6 hours on the phone when I could have read a book, when I could have done it, when I could have, taken a course or learned something new on YouTube or something, or do a flyer or do a video or something. No. I know that we're getting there and they're also learning. They're learning from the people around them, the models around them. And so I know that gradually the world will be a better place where if we do all we need to do. I want to thank you too for your time. I appreciate you. But before you go, our viewers would like to, what word will you give us as a last word, a parting word for someone who is just joining now? Some of them are like, oh, what did I gain today? So do you have a parting word, something you want, so that at least if I was in this video, if I never got anything, but there's just one thing you would say that would, wrap up all you've been saying in the last 40 minutes.
well, what is that there is no shortcut to success. We all have to pay the price at some point. So whether you are at the level where you are, you're just leaving high school and you think the best way for you to go now is to quickly go get a job, there's millions there and all of that, and so you are neglecting your education, there's a price to pay. And you will agree with me that we see even, I mean, people who maybe were school dropouts and all of that, for whatever reason, now that they've made so much money, many of them are taking certification courses. They're going back to school. They're wanting to learn something because you find that you still need that education. And so going to college, getting education is so important. And so for our young people, I say to you, whatever path you want to tread, don't throw away the path of education.
It's, yeah, there is a book I read that says delay gratification for future enjoyments. Do all you can do while you're strong. And it is said, when you run away from your battle, you will live to fight it some other time. And you don't want to fight your battle so you don't have strength. So whilst you're still strong and energetic, confront your battle. Do not run. There's this saying that says you have to discomfort yourself for your comfort in the future. No pain, no gain. No story, no glory. As in, if you don't go through the shame now, there will be no fame for you. So please stay in, stay put, go through the pain, go through the sorrow, go through the mess, so that you can have a message. That's thank you so much, our viewers, and thank you, TEENA, for making this today. Oh my God, will I say a lovely and impactful day of I must go to school, I must study, I must get that certification. It's so packed for you, and I myself have learned something today. Making out time, family time, no phone, so that you can connect truly. I appreciate you, and I want to say thank you. And I'm sure our viewers too are saying thank you. I also want to thank our viewers who have been on this line for this long and have been following us. I want to thank you. You make us tick. You make us come every Monday for this show. Thank you so much. And please, if this is your first time, please kindly like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell and share. If you are being blessed, please share to others where others can learn and glean from others. I'm learning from her. I learn every day when I bring new people. I've learned something new from her today. And next week, we're going to be having somebody else again. I'm also going to learn. And you can imagine the levels of learning. I'm just compounding. I'm taking everything. I'm sure 5 years from now, probably some of you won't know me again. TEENA, it's awesome.
Thank you for the opportunity on your show. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much.